Alright, so he's saying that he's giving me an error. The server replied, forbidden. So if I do a manual search, he's giving me an error? Oh, that worked. So here's a $42 transformer. Why is that in there? I don't even know. So anyways, I've got all my parts. With my $10 whatever, my $10 doodad. And you should be able to change those things. And now I think you can probably go over to, you said this wasn't connected? What was the problem? How do I know that it's not connected? So what did you do next? Yeah, I thought I saw it too, but I assume that you just started a new board file. Yeah, but I think there's one down there. Okay. How does one find your code? Here it is. It's under downloads 555 timer. Is this it? Alright, so what am I looking at here? Alright, so this is sort of in need of replacement, and well, these are air wires, right, that they described in the video. Do you recall the air wires? So air wires show the connections as being part of the network, right? So the network shows inputs and outputs for each component. Then what he did was he proceeded to do manual placement because he didn't like automatic placement. But Kyle, you apparently did the automatic placement and it worked out fine. There should be a route button. Is that what you use? And what am I supposed to select all for this thing to route, or do I have to? How did you do the automatic router? This one. This one. Auto router. Okay. So you just hit OK and select the. Oh, alright. So let's try 150. 10? Okay. Oh. And there's no errors. That's weird. How do you do? So your question is about the battery. It should somewhere in this he should have shown plus V on the battery and the ground for the battery. Ground? Ground is the negative part, and plus V, that's the positive part. Yeah, it should be possible to.
From the schematic file, you just click like one button and it's going to pull the up. See that button up under the file, edit, or up, right under view? That.
Switch schematic. Oh, okay.
So click that in the schematic and it'll pull it up with the file with all the parts that were just like on the side, and you had to write them out and stuff.
Yeah.
So like sometimes for me when I was doing it, based on where I put the parts, if I hit the RASNAT button, it's like that green text, then it would like change the air wires, and then I would get it out of sync with the schematic file error.
Oh.
I'm not sure why that happened.
Yeah, if you change the schematic, it's supposed to propagate to the printed circuit board, but if you change the printed circuit board, then it's not consistent with the schematic. So you want to have the two things to be consistent. So when you're pushing around wires, if you break one, or if you do something that causes a short,
I just did the rat's nest. I don't know why that is.
yeah, rat's nest, I don't know, that should just leave you with air wires.
Because that's what he was doing, but like if I hit it, like I didn't hit it at the same time that he was doing, it didn't get the same thing.
Oh,
So like, if they weren't in the exact spot, so mine ended up not being the same, and then I moved stuff around, tried to make it.
okay.
So it's different.
Yeah, the way I see it is if you get a ground pour, a ground plane on the bottom and then a positive plane on the top, then you can use the battery to connect positive to all the things that need it. They could just tap it in. This battery holder may have some holes that go through, and if it does and those holes are riveted, then I could see it connecting to the ground plane underneath, because it's clear from the schematic here. Ground is connected to the battery, and the battery's other side connects to plus VCC, and plus VCC is consistently named everywhere it's needed. So my thinking on this is that it should be correct in the printed circuit board. Now if it's not, that's a bummer, and we have to fix it. But how would you wire this battery here? See, I'm not real familiar with this battery holder that he has, but as far as I know, there's this part in here on the center, which he labeled a plus. That's probably the part that makes contact with the button cell, and the button cell gets turned inverted so that the minus sign is on top. That's the case, and then the positive part goes in contact with this little plus area. I'm not real familiar with the battery holder. I don't know, maybe it has a little spring connector in it, some kind of piece of metal that flexes up and holds the battery tight. I'm guessing, because if you don't have spring metal, you're not going to be able to keep the battery in place.
The next one here, just go back and make the connection without VCC, make it like the first video, and the battery was connected.
Open device. What does that buy me? So he says, great for battery backup. As surface mount and through-hole holders. Note the through-hole package has the ground pads on both sides of the PC board so that the masks are the same. This reduces the cost. You know, if I had one physically here, I'd feel better. Maybe I could do something where I take this. It's the surface mount version of a lithium battery holder. So I guess the thing to do to find more information about it would be to just sort of Google it. Someone should be able to tell me. It's called a coin cell holder. Now let me tell you something about these coin cells. A lot of them are 10-year lithium batteries, and if you use the tiny version of the Arduino, you can put it into a quiescent state, sleep mode. Sleep mode for the Arduino is 180 nanowatts. That's an incredibly little amount of power. And what I expect is that the battery will last almost its full lifetime, 10 years. If you look at the what they call power capacity of the battery, and you look at what it's normally doing, you can see it's easy during its active mode, which is going to allow you to have an 8-bit microcontroller running at a megahertz. In its active mode, it will consume perhaps 0.026 milliwatts. Another incredibly small but rather larger amount of power. So if you run it off of a CR2032, and Ryan and I were figuring this out because he wants to build an embedded device for his yo-yo. Right, because he wants a smart yo-yo that can transmit in Bluetooth and have all this information with sensors, and he wants to be able to use it to show his yo-yo performances. I guess because he thinks somebody will care. Whatever. There's a compelling product here, right? We figure he'll have at least 1,700 hours of continuous yo-yoing in active mode for his microcontroller. I mean, there's something to be said for using microcontrollers in this mode. One of the things about them is they become invisible. They use up so little power. They effectively can last for the lifetime of the product, and you have the ability to take the product, which is usually dumb, a yo-yo, and turn it into something smart, because adding a computer automatically makes it smart somehow. But of course, having a high, I'll say, I don't know, shock or acceleration in a device like a yo-yo might be a big strain on your electronic components. So it's really good to know that your battery is held in securely, because if the battery falls out, then the whole product dies. How does this work? I don't want the PDF reader, I just want the stinking data sheet. It's doing something stupid. I guess I could... he wants me to download malware. Click to view. This whole thing is not in English, unfortunately. But I was thinking that they would tell me more information about the product, but I guess I can't see it because I don't read whatever language that was. Let me try it again. Oh, they're calling this an obsolete component now. New. Difficult. Difficult to get through. My problem here is that my network is so slow. I can't even download a data sheet without having to sit and wait. But in any case, my thinking on this is that the schematic is correct, and when you go straight into the board, it would be okay to sort of assume that it's okay, that it's going to work. Maybe it would be helpful if we had some more Eagle tutorials. I think so. Should we do that? I was going to do one thing that I thought was interesting for you guys, and I was going to show you how to do this in 3D. But before I go to the 3D part, it might be really swell if we just nailed down some of the schematic capture and the design part. What I did with my stuff is I decided that I wanted a 3D view, and there is a product which is free, a free product called Eagle 3D. And with Eagle 3D, you can just get an exe file, and then it does the download and the install. And then when you run it, it installs in this way under I guess you call it program files x86. And so then in theory, it should be under, I guess it should appear under programs, right? Or not. Program files x86 Eagle 3D, and here are some examples. Now Eagle 3D uses a Eagle 3D is a very interesting program. Eagle 3D inputs printed circuit boards, and it outputs 3D geometry. The 3D geometry that it outputs contains sufficient amount of information to do a good rendering. But Eagle 3D is not a renderer, in that it will not create the 3D image for you. For that, you need another product. So the other product you need is called POV, or Persistence of Vision. And that's another free product, open source. So if you go to POV, Ray, I think that's what they're calling it nowadays, you can find a download for that, also free. And you can kind of see it makes some very nice looking 3D stuff. You can make full-blown animations with this. And it has a Mac version and a Unix version and a Windows version. And because I'm on Windows, I'll get the Windows version. Let's see. Binaries. 64-bit. It will not install on a 32, even if it is hosted on the global. I'm reading this, sorry. Okay. It's not too big, it's only 10 megs. That's considered little for modern use. There it is. Run. Next. Accept. Next. I don't know why it insists on installing things in this user's app data roaming file here. I guess that's okay. I'm going to change it. Let's put it somewhere I can find it. Like here, POV. Okay. Next, install. Finish. Well, let's see if we can get this to work. POV. And it didn't do anything for me. Ah, there we go. Okay. Okay, I would like to render something so I can show this thing working, so let's try it. Run. There we go. So this is what they call a rendered image. If you render enough of these images, you can make yourself a little movie. Then you can put all the images together into a single file and upload it to YouTube. And then you can be famous, because you will become a movie animator. How exciting, right? This is how I did the Eagle 3D thing. So Eagle 3D is outputting these kinds of files here. And that's how I get the 3D part. But it's such an exotic thing right now for you guys, because you're just worried about like laying out a timer, that I'm not going to focus on that. but I did want to let you know that that's an available thing. Certain applications that we do have a license for, but which are not free, like Ultiboard, a National Instrument product, integrate the 3D in smoothly, so that you don't have to do an extra step or two to make 3D happen. And most of the high-end professional board layout software that you can get is many thousands of dollars and will include some kind of 3D rendering. And if we want to, we can use that instead. But then it's a problem trying to get it to work at home. I personally kind of like this sort of thing because it lets you get into all of the layout stuff for your 3D. You can change the look and feel of every color. You can change how things are rendered. You get really into the details here. It's a level of detail you may not care for, but I sort of feel like it's nice to be able to get to it. And it's kind of educational to see how it all looks at when it gets written out that way. And you can change something and then see its effect. So for example, here he created a pigment called Pig 3, and he gave you a couple of colors, red, green, and blue colors. You could go in and change those things and then see the pigment change. It's fun, I think. What I'd like to do now is I'd like to change back the Cam Studio to a different resolution, because I don't like this high resolution stuff. It gets too big when you do distance learning. So I'm just going to switch back.